Virtual desktop environments provide significant business value by enabling companies to centralize management of the desktop experience and provide new ways for employees to access their information. This kind of system is composed of multiple interlocking technologies and without proper planning can be difficult to protect from common failure scenarios that are covered by traditional backup approaches in legacy desktop environments. EMC Avamar provides the tools you need to protect virtual desktop environments from a wide range of failures by enabling the backup and recovery of individual components of desktop infrastructure. The virtual desktop infrastructure of an end-user compute environment comprises of desktop brokers to handle desktop lifecycle management and a database system to keep track of the broker and desktop configurations. Virtual desktops can be categorized as either non-persistent or persistent. Persistent desktops have customizations of user settings and applications, so each persistent desktop needs to be backed up to preserve those settings. For non-persistent desktops, the master image needs to be backed up. EMC Avamar offers fast, efficient backup and recovery through a complete software and hardware solution. Equipped with integrated variable length deduplication technology, Avamar facilitates fast daily full backups for virtual environments, remote offices, enterprise applications, network attached storage servers, and desktops and laptops. In this demo, you're going to see the backup and restore of three major components of an end user computing environment. First, we are going to show you the backup of virtual desktop infrastructure. More specifically, we are going to backup and restore the SQL Server database used by Citrix Zen Desktop. Next, we are going to show you the backup and restore of virtual desktops, and finally show the backup and recovery process for user data. Under our resource group in our virtual environment, we have the following components installed and configured. We have the Avamar backup and recovery software as a virtual appliance. We also have the Microsoft SQL Server database in a separate virtual appliance. We have installed the Network Data Management Protocol or Avamar's NDMP accelerator. And finally, we have the Citrix Provisioning Services product installed as a virtual appliance. We have now logged on to the machine hosting Citrix Provisioning Services. As you can see from the Provisioning Services console, there are numerous virtual desktops provisioned by Citrix. All this provisioning data is stored in the SQL Server database. We have now logged on to the machine hosting the SQL Server database. There are two Avamar services that would enable the backup and recovery of the database. One is the Avamar for Windows service and the other is Avamar backup plugin for SQL. This is the administration console for EMC Avamar. One thing to notice here is that we have configured an EMC data domain appliance as the device that will store all of our backups. We would now click on the backup and restore button, and we notice that the Avamar SQL Server plugin that was configured on the SQL Server machine has been discovered and registered as one of the backup clients for Avamar. We select the SQL Server client on Avamar Administrator, then select the database that stores all the provisioning data from Citrix. In this case, it is the Provisioning Services Demo database. We then click on Actions menu item and then select Backup Now. We have set the write retention period and then we click on More Options. We are picking EMC's data domain system to store the backup. We then run the backup request. Once the backup gets initiated, We can check the completion of the backup activity by clicking on the navigation menu item and then selecting the activity item on the list of options. We can see that the backup has completed successfully. To show you the database restore operation, we are going to delete all the machines provisioned by Citrix by its provisioning services product. Once we restore the database, we should be able to see all the provisioned machines appear once again on this provisioning services console. Before we start the recovery process for the SQL Server database, we are going to shut down the Citrix provisioning service appliance. This would ensure that a consistent recovery has been performed. As you can see now, the provisioning service virtual machine has completely shut down. We are back on the Avamar administration console. We select the Restore tab, and under that we see a backup that was done on March 2nd. We are going to restore that backup file. To start the restore process, we first select the provisioning services demo database to be restored. We also select the two files which are part of that database. Then click on the Actions menu item and then select the restore destination as restore to the original location. Then select more options. Here we deselect the tail log backup option and then we start the restore process. The restore process has now been started successfully. We can now go back to the Avamar activity window to check on this process. We can see that the process is running and it completes successfully. We now power on the virtual machine that runs Citrix provisioning services. We are back at the Citrix provisioning services console. We navigate to device collections in the console and find that all the desktops and their information is restored successfully. Avamar for VMware Image Backup uses VMware vStorage API for data protection to protect virtual machine data. Image Backup is fully integrated with vCenter Server to provide detection of virtual machine clients and enable efficient centralized management of backup jobs. Image backups and restores require deployment of proxy virtual machines within the vCenter. Proxies run Avamar software inside a Linux virtual machine and are deployed using an appliance template file. You can see the changes we have done to our virtual infrastructure. In addition to the Avamar Virtual Edition, we have also installed the Avamar proxy that would facilitate the backup of virtual desktops. For this demo, we have also created a Windows 7 virtual desktop which we will backup and restore using Avamar. In Avamar, virtual machines are managed as clients. So we first need to add the Windows 7 virtual desktop as a client to Avamar. We are back on the Avamar administration console. To add the virtual desktop as a client, we first click on the administration button and then click on vCenter under account management. We then click on the actions menu item. Under that, we select account management and new clients. Now a window titled select VMware entity pops up and we select the hosts and clusters tab in that window. We then expand the vCenter tree and then look for our virtual desktop in our resource group. We select our Windows desktop and ensure that we categorize this as a dynamic virtual machine container. And we also enable changed block tracking for this virtual machine. We then click on OK to add this desktop to the list of clients in Avamar. Clients marked as dynamic containers in Avamar will be continuously monitored and any changes will be automatically reflected in Avamar Administrator. Let's do a backup of the desktop we added to Avamar by selecting the Backup tab and then selecting all the virtual hard disks associated with our desktop. We then select Actions menu item and then select Backup Now. We then click on More Options and elect to store the backup in the data domain system. We then click OK. The backup has been initiated successfully. We can check on the status of the backup by going back to the Avamar activity window. We see that the backup has been completed successfully. To show you the recovery process, we are first going to delete our desktop. As you can see, our desktop is no longer available in our resource group. To perform the restore operation, we select the Restore tab on Avamar, then select the backup we had just made. We then ensure all virtual disks for our desktop are restored. We then click on Actions menu item and then click on Restore Now. We select the option to restore to a new virtual machine. Next, we click on Configure Destination. We specify the name for our desktop and the location to be restored in. We select the host cluster, the resource pool, and finally the data store. We click on Finish to complete the configuration of the destination for the restore operation. We are back in our Restore Options window. We select More Options and pick on the option to power on the VM when the restore operation completes. We then start the restore operation. As you can see, the restore has been initiated successfully. We are back in the Avamar activity window and we find that the restore has been completed successfully. On vCenter, we find that the restored machine has powered on successfully. The Network Data Management Protocol Accelerator we had installed plays a critical role in the backing up of user data. The NDMP Accelerator is a dedicated Avamar server node that functions as an Avamar client. The accelerator uses NDMP to interface with and access NDMP-based NAS systems. The data from NAS system is not stored on the accelerator. The accelerator performs real-time data deduplication and then sends the data directly to the Avamar server. We have logged on to EMC Unisphere, which is the administration console for EMC's VNX NAS storage system. We have user data stored under the share titled Homes. Here's a view of all the home directories from Windows File Explorer. We are going to back up all the home directories. We are back on the Avamar Administrator console. We click on Backup and Restore and then select the NAS storage server. In our case, it's a EMC VNX server that holds our home directories. We then select the option to enter a file, folder or directory and then enter the name of the top level directory that we wish to back up. We can then click on Actions menu item and then select Backup Now. As you can see from the backup options, we are using the NDMP accelerator to help us perform the backup. Next, we click on More Options and then select EMC's data domain system to store the backup. We can then press OK to start the backup job. As you can see, the backup has been initiated successfully. By going back to the activity window on Avamar Administration console, we see the status of the job change from waiting to running to completed. We have now backed up successfully. To show you the restore operation, we are going to deliberately delete one of the home directories. From the Avamar Administrator console, click on the Restore tab. Then select the latest backup of the directories. We then select to restore the home directory that we had deleted. We ensure that all the files owned by that user are restored. We then click on Actions menu item and then select the Restore Now option. We ensure that we are restoring to the right NAS server and that we are using the NDMP accelerator to help us with the restore. We also restore everything to the original location. We then click OK to start the restore operation. As you can see, the restore operation has initiated successfully. We can track the status of the restore operation from the activity window in Avamar Administrator console. Now that our restore operation has completed successfully, we are back on the File Explorer window to check the directory. We refresh the window and find that our home directory has been restored. We also find that all the files have been restored. In this demo, we have shown you that EMC Avamar protects your entire end-user computing environment. We showed you backup and restore of an EUC infrastructure component by using the example of SQL Server database used by Citrix Xen Desktop. We showed you dynamic backup of the virtual desktop deployed in VMware. Finally, we showed you how to fully protect the user data using Avamar. For all your EUC data protection needs, look no further than EMC Avamar. Thank you.